it was like 73%. So that's the thing, is that people really piled in behind Donald Trump's domestic MAGA agenda, but kind of this lingering neoconservative roots in the Republican Party is still there, and it very much is about the nuclear weapons. We had another question. Where is it? Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Iran must never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. And this is back from May 29th, and 84%, at least some would agree with that. 63% strongly, 56% of Democrats strongly, 71% of Republicans strongly. It was like a 90% number among Republicans. So that's what the party wanted, is some kind of aggressive action to make this not be an issue. And the way I kind of thought about it is kind of a lost opportunity, because let's not forget what was happening before Israel went ahead and made this strike. The Democrats were basically imploding by burning down their own cities as part of these protests out in LA. Gavin Newsom, his numbers took a real hit. Like, he's underwater 9 points now. Nationally, can't even get to a 40% favorability rating. He's only got a 55% favorability rating with Democrats. That was what was happening when Israel made this strike. And again, I think we'll never know. Was it a real threat? Were they going to get the single suitcase bomb that we've been hearing about for 20 or 30 years? I was on a nuclear submarine. I know what one Trident ballistic missile can do to a country, and it's a lot more than a 15 kiloton tactical nuke that might not even exist, that has no delivery payload mechanism at all. And so I don't know. We're never going to know these things. But hopefully, I think, again, a popular action and something that's been hanging over Americans' heads for a very long time, it shouldn't affect his numbers. It might actually make them go up, assuming all the other things on the slippery slope don't happen, assuming that we don't have to provide more military aid, assuming that there aren't the round-the-clock videos on the mainstream media news about all of the suffering women and children in Iran and how they really need us there to help restabilize with the new regime. And that's the modus operandi. It really is down in Washington, D.C.
You know, I forgot you were on a nuclear submarine. Let's read what Trump put out today. Let's go back to the start, please. In response to Medvedev, really the Kremlin spokesperson, former president, he's the bad cop to Putin. So this is what Putin said. It's just not Medvedev. Did I hear former President Medvedev from Russia actually throwing around the N-word, nuclear, and saying that he and other countries, North Korea has not said they plan to do it, would supply nuclear warheads to Iran? Did he really say that, or is it just some figment of my imagination? If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. They are the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built, and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So in addition to great fighter pilots, bombers, thank you to the captain and crew. So, wow, quite the saber rattling in response to the Russians in North Korea, Mark Mitchell.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff packed in there. I like the little quote about how he says it's a good thing that Putin is in control, because we haven't heard a whole heck of a lot about Putin's nukes, to be honest with you. And listen, we've pushed the envelope with how much I think that the U.S. should be involved in Ukraine. But just to give people who aren't familiar with this a frame of reference, everybody says, okay, 15 kilotons, that's what dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's correct, okay? And it would be catastrophic. And it could take out probably multiple city blocks, a good section of downtown Manhattan. But one singular intercontinental ballistic missile fired from a Russian submarine, of which they have many, and of which have many missiles, one single missile with its 10 MIRVs could basically take out a swath of America from the western side of Long Island all the way down to Philadelphia. One missile. One. So that's what we've been up against for 2 or 3 years. Nobody really talked about nuclear. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, now we have to really hit Iran. And it's like, maybe it was just something on the punch list and we had to cross it off. And again, the public opinion supports it. But it just doesn't make sense with all of what we've been talking about doing for Russia, especially the way that Washington, D.C. has been talking about that particular conflict.
We've got a huge development, and I've been saying I hope this is the case for days, and I said when these strikes were coming in today, to Qatar that if it was limited and if they were able to shoot them down, it would be similar to what we saw in 2020 that Trump talked about, where we kill Soleimani. So the Iranians said, hey, we got a face save. So they fired 18 missiles into the desert by a base in Iraq and didn't kill anybody. I said, I hope that's the case. The posture looks really warlike by both sides. We know he gave them a chance last Thursday to have 2 weeks to come to the table. They said, screw you. So he went ahead with the attack. But now just in, the New York Times, CNN, all reporting President Trump does not want any further military engagements in the region, and they are expected these attacks from Tehran per CNN. Again, Iran did tell Qatar that the U.S. military the attack was coming hours before it did. That's why Qatar closed its airspace. So now it looks more like the Kabuki theater we saw in 2020 that Trump, very uncharacteristically for any leader, admitted was going on. We know stuff like this has been done before. So this is an amazing development. And everything I see, I now believe this is true. And so I hope I'm wrong when I said it looked like this was really escalating out of control. But still, Netanyahu and some of the other forces are demanding regime change. Should you speak to that, Mark Mitchell? And then why would Trump come out last night and push regime change if that's not what he wants?
Maybe he was doing a Trump trial balloon. I think it's a loaded term. I don't think people want to see that. But what I do have is boots on the ground. And wow, to be on the air when this breaks is pretty cool. Hopefully the Trump team was actually looking at our numbers because they're out today. But would you support or oppose the United States using ground troops to support Israel in the war against Iran? The number is low. Only 14% strongly support, 19% somewhat support. So that's only 1 in 3 of the electorate, and 58% are opposed, 38% strongly. And what's kind of wild is because it has the word Israel in there, Democrats are really against this, even though they were very supportive of almost everything we did in Ukraine. Only 28% of Democrats support this. That number's plummeting. And then independents are the most anti-war, 26%, only 18% strongly support, and not even a majority of Republicans. So people again, I think it's this desensitization to the fact that we can literally drop bombs on anyone from anywhere. 44% of Republicans support boots on the ground. It's actually a plurality that don't support that. And I can tell you, we pulled this 2 or 3 years ago with Taiwan and China, and the numbers for Taiwan were much, much more higher. So I think there's an aspect of people who say, again, Iran with nukes, probably not great, but is this particular conflict our problem? Not militarily, according to these numbers. And I think
is that up on the Rasmussen Report's website? We were subscribers. For some reason we can't get into it, but we did subscribe last time to get it. But is that on the Rasmussen's X account?
Yes. Most voters oppose sending U.S. ground troops. Our headline story from today. We just put it up a couple hours ago.
Wow. So most voters oppose sending U.S. ground troops, while the plurality of voters support the use of American air power and naval forces against Iran. Only a third favor the deployment of U.S. ground troops. Full story in the comments, and we'll go through some of that. So this is, I think it's premature to say it, but with what the White House is saying, that they don't want to expand the war and that they expected these attacks and aren't going to retaliate, this is a real chance to maybe start shutting this down.
Yeah, I really hope so. And it would be better for Israel, too. I can tell you what, the stuff that's been going on has not been good for Israel support in the U.S. We asked this one benchmark question, looking at the history of Israel and Palestine. I know it's not Iran, but let's just use it, because I think now for the left, Israel and Iran, or Palestine and Iran, are probably going to be interchangeable, right? Do you sympathize more with the Israelis or the Palestinians? And right now, the last time we checked it, Israelis only got 44%. Palestinians got 30%. That's down to a 14-point lead for Israel from 30 points just a year ago. And so what's going on over there, I think, is attracting a lot of negative attention. Obviously, it's mostly in Democrats. A plurality of Democrats actually support Palestinians now and not Israelis. And for Republicans, it's only Israel, 54 to 27%. So those numbers are moving really rapidly. And again, it looks like we're not going to get involved. But that doesn't mean these issues in the Middle East aren't going to go away. And with how close we are as allies and with all the ties that we know exist in Washington, D.C., it's a problem.
And Israel is stepping up attacks inside Iran right now.
Yeah, it would appear so. And again, my philosophy from a public opinion perspective is that our policy should probably be, if you break it, you bought it. but Iran outnumbers Israel 10-1. I don't know the situation. I'm not, a pro in national security and foreign policy issues. I know a lot of Iranians don't necessarily support the existing regime. That doesn't mean that on the whole, the world doesn't support the existing regime with how tied in Iran is with, the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China. They've made essentially a quasi-monetary bloc. They're economically relatively dependent on people. And for us to go in there and start rearranging the furniture, even if it's just with a nod and a wink of American support, that's a problem that will affect, again, what should be a laser focus on domestic policy issues. I don't think this is going to affect Donald Trump's polling. It didn't really drop last night. Right direction is still 47%. We probably need a few more days to really see. And again, it might bounce. But the takeaway that we've said on your show multiple times here is that with Trump 2.0, he should be confident. He should be giving absolutely no Fs because he's got the highest right direction polling of any president in the last 20 years. That's because he's giving Americans what they want and he's earned their trust because pretty much nobody else has given them what they voted for. Like, that's the thing. And so he's earned that. He's probably going to stick with them. And it could be slaughtered.
Well, it's now confirmed by the White House itself that they were basically told about the attacks. The Pentagon already said that 2 hours ago. And that this is all basically 2.0 face saving for the Iranians, like in 2020 when Trump ordered Soleimani, the head of their paramilitary forces and terror planning, killed successfully. And Trump, about a year later, once he was out of office, said, no, we accepted that they had to save face. So I would imagine, and there was probably back channeling even before this. I wonder why the Iranians last week got an offer a 2-week chance to come to the table after Steve Bannon talked to Trump. And then it was confirmed by the White House that the Iranians said, no, screw you. And then I guess now they see the big posture and now they're backing off. I mean, I pray this is the end of it because I've had the economist on, we looked at the numbers. You get Strait of Hormuz blocked, $120 barrel oil, that doubles inflation, that messes up the CPI, that gets interest rates raised, and then that tanks the Trump recovery that has a really good shot of succeeding.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think the economy is primarily, according to voters, jobs and wages. And then prices was the number one issue coming into this election. I don't think Trump should be giving ammunition to the Democrats at all because everything they've been focused on has been totally fake issues, to be honest with you. All this stuff about people supporting deportations. People support massive deportations stronger now than they have ever before. But that's what the Democrats have been forced to resist on, and it's not going to work. But if all of a sudden we have a 20 or 30% pop in prices at the gas pump because of things that Trump allowed to happen or supported, that could be a problem. That could be ammunition. Again, Trump needs to, and I think people understand that there's going to be probably some economic turmoil baked into this because we had a majority of people supporting Donald Trump's economic policies, while at the same time, an even stronger majority also agreed that we were likely to see a recession in the next 12 months. And so that means that there's some turmoil baked in, and it would be horrible if we gave Democrats some ammunition that they could run against Trump with on that.
My big concern is, it was easy to predict that the Iranians were going to get the uranium out, and then the Israelis would start saying, oh, we didn't get it. We've got to keep the war going. We've got to have regime change. That's now happening. Trump is saying, no, we got it. Mission accomplished because he wants to put this to bed. But I see this like herpes, something that just keeps coming back again and again and again.
Yeah, and I mean, it was such a powerful tool. And again, I'm not dismissing these concerns. I'm not saying that I want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I'm saying that they've been enriching uranium for a very long time. There are people who could have sold them a weapon. There are people who could have sold them highly enriched uranium. Russia has thousands of those warheads, I think, laying around still. Other countries that we don't like have them as well. North Korea got them. And North Korea's not bombing us every day. And everybody will say, yeah, but Iran has a Death to America parade. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know if you can take all that stuff at face value.
We've already seen a lot of restraint from them over the years.
Yeah. The establishment will use these tools. And it's very powerful for them to hit an 84% number. Over 80%. We do not see Americans agreeing that much on things like it's such a divided country. For 84% to agree, Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. That's a very powerful tool for Washington, D.C., and I just don't think they're going to retire it.
And so, if Iran and the mullahs are ever about to fall, they do have a bunch of nasty stuff they can do, like shut down the Strait of Hormuz, fire a bunch of missiles. What do you think about North Korea saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to give them nukes"? The Russians just flooded over. We're talking to a bunch of countries that are talking about it, and I think North Korea is being overlooked here. I mean, they on their official government site on X said, "Yeah, we're going to give them nukes."
I mean, it's just more complications. The way I kind of look at it, Alex, is listen, we've had, decades now of massive illegal immigration into this country, unchecked, wave upon wave of just millions of people coming here, most of them probably human trafficked from all over the world, unvetted, just pouring across our southern border, bringing God knows who what with them. Horrifying Americans, completely undermining their trust in the federal government. We had more than 60% of people thinking that Joe Biden was actually enabling the border crisis at the southern border. Now, obviously, we know he was, or the weirdos in his administration.
He said, "When I win, immediately surge the border." He said, "When I win, immediately surge the border."
Yeah, and that's what's happened. And now, for the very first time, that number ticks down. For the very first time in decades, that number ticks down. And all of a sudden, we're talking about conflagrations in the Middle East. We're talking about all of these people that have been simmering for a long time are challenging the status quo, saying they're going to give nukes. This has become a powder keg. And I think, honestly, Donald Trump walked into a lot of this, right? It's what happens after 4 years of a very weak administration who did not poll well on national security issues overwhelmingly. And it's like Trump was winning on most things. But he was also winning on things like who's going to have the better policies for the Middle East, who's going to have the better policies in Ukraine and Russia. And Trump was winning on that stuff too. And that is at the time when Trump was saying things like we can't be over there starting foreign wars. So we just need to stick to that. It's Donald Trump gave the Republican Party the biggest gift ever, the right domestic policy agenda, super popular, more popular even than Trump is. And it's like we can't stay focused on it.
I agree. And again, you're not, I think what I'm getting from you is this is dangerous. You're not for it. Neither am I. For people that are totally against this, we're just giving you what the public is thinking and just giving people the facts. Yeah. We're not like the Democrats that are going to misrepresent some issue just because we want it to be that way.
Yeah. I'm just telling you what the numbers are. I have opinions. I have politics. My politics are I think that voters should get what they want unless it's stupid. And we should acknowledge that there are stupid things that voters want. And they wanted this cleaned up. Good on them. But there are slippery slopes. Slippery slopes are very real. And we should acknowledge that there have been many in the past. A lot of people came out just in the last couple of weeks saying things that sounded very similar to 2003, so much so that I had to go take a shower. Like, it was gross the way that we heard the same lines being repeated.
Mark Mitchell, I know you're really busy. Just do like 7-8 minutes with some of the side. We'll talk about domestic issues with you. Then I'll let you go and go to calls. Mark Mitchell, RasmussenReports.com.
I was hoping you had some of the Alex Jones ones. How is Alex?
He's great. He lost a lot of weight.
I saw he's getting yeah, he's ready for the next.
My friend Sean Johnson's training him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gets up every morning. He works out for hours. He's lost.
Made him want to take a
shower.
70
pounds at this point.
The things the Democrats were doing.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. He looks like he's 20 years younger.
Yeah, take a shower.
This is really funny because his whole business is conspiracy theories. Conspiracy that Alex has been replaced. Yeah. So listen, folks, that's real Alex. I've watched every step of the way, and my friend trains him.
Help a broke baller
with
a shower.
That is the real Alex Jones. Quit drinking, quit eating bad food. He's eating healthy food now. He works out every day. It's like no Ozempic, no bullshit, no shortcuts. He did it the right way. He looks great.
You find it all.
It costs a shit ton, I bet, for a hotel right now.
Patriot organization worldwide, absolutely devastating the globalists in our peaceful information war.
He got it.
He was right about every step of the way. I have some very exciting news.
They'll charge twice, even though they won't even sell it.
Green
Like, they could have made money.
Concentrate.
They won't.
The folks at Bigley
They make more that way. They
it's their
think,
star product, and it became a
July
bestseller very
4th.
quickly because people, when they got it, loved it so much.
Gotta
You
go
know, I
out to
told
like
you everything it said, how concentrated it is. We're taking out. This
West
has the
End.
kitchen sink and then Savannah. If you're missing any of the
Everything
trace
around
elements,
here is not cheap at
all
all.
the other trace elements and vitamins and prebiotics.
They
and
just built a
probiotics,
new
it's got everything in it.
hotel
And
right
again, these
next
are all
to
concentrated.
Food
And
Lion
it's got a
down
bunch
in
of stuff for
Garden
healthy
City.
energy in it
Kinda
too.
gets my
So
interest if
folks
they had a buffet, all you
absolutely
could eat, I'd go
love
for it. But
Optimal
they have
Human,
a
and it works
restaurant,
synergistically with the
but,
Shilla G, the Irish sea moss,
all you
turmeric,
can eat.
and the methylene blue. We've been sold out of this. It came in, and I finally
They
got
ain't
it a
got
couple
none of
days
those
ago,
around
and
here,
man,
and
is
then
it
if they
awesome.
do, they suck.
It is a game changer. If you haven't gotten it, you are really
Embassy's
missing out
worth it.
at thealexjonesstore.com.
Right
So it never
across from
sells
the
out.
Greyhound.
Be sure to become a
I used to sneak my
subscriber
way
and
self
get
in.
special discounts when you do
Get
that.
one. It was
Ultimate
worth it. I want
Life
to pay back
Force.
to them.
That's the name of the new product. This is hands down the strongest, most powerful spike protein detox out there with triple action. Taking all the major best-selling certified safe formulas
On their good
and
price,
integrating it
it's still
in
twice
to
what you
just
get.
a
Like out
massive daily dose.
near
And it
Richmond
isn't just to
Hill,
clean out your blood, but
you get a hotel
it
real
is so
cheap
good
out
for your whole
there.
body. It's got 400 milligrams
On
of
the
NAC
17th,
alone.
keep going on
That is
Walmart,
the
past
precursor
that
to
Walmart.
glutathione, and just does incredible
Even
things
near
for
that
the body.
Walmart, but
Not
it's still
just
a
that,
long.
the
You can
energy,
take a
the
bus
stamina,
all the way
all of
out
it.
there. That's
Ladies and
where
gentlemen,
I
we're
got
so
a
excited
hotel
about
for
this
like.
formula. I don't have
You're looking
time
at
to get into
60
all
a
the other
night,
great ingredients in
or
it.
70.
Go to the
On a weekend like this,
AlexJonesStore.com right
though,
now
it'd be like
and
twice.
check it out for
Like
yourself.
$1.50.
This is so game changing. Lesser
Still cheaper
formulas
right here.
have already helped so many people that I personally bought them for and given them to friends and family. This is amazing. Get yours now at thealexjonesstore.com, 50% off.
It's almost poetic, the products that we sell, because yes, they are the best. Yes, it is the best price for the highest quality. Yes, they are third-party tested. It's almost poetic because as we advocate for humanity, what we sell to you is that which makes you or allows you to make yourself a better version of yourself. Whether it's getting the methylene blue, which helps you with focus and energy and mental clarity, or ultimate life force.